The night on planet Veros was colder than anything Evan had ever felt in his life. The wind did not just blow, it cut. It rushed across the empty ice fields like a living creature, sharp and cruel, hitting his face again and again. Each step, he took left deep marks in the snow, but the storm quickly erased them behind him. Evan walked forward with his scanner held close to his chest. The device beeped slowly, showing a small, weak life sign somewhere ahead. He didn't know what he would find. Maybe an injured animal, maybe a broken machine, or maybe nothing at all. On this planet, most signals were false alarms, but something inside him said this one was different. The sky flashed with thin lightning, lighting up the frozen land for a second. He could see broken metal pieces scattered everywhere, maybe from an old crashed ship. The storm grew louder. Evan knew he had only minutes before the frostbite winds became deadly. Anyone left outside would not survive. Just as he was about to turn back, he heard a very soft sound. A voice. A small, trembling voice. At first, he thought the wind was playing tricks on him. But then he heard it again, clearer this time, weak and shaking. Human, please, help. Evan stopped breathing for a moment. His heart jumped. The scanner suddenly flashed red, showing the life sign just a few meters away. He rushed toward the broken metal plates and pushed them aside. Underneath them, curled up in a small ball, was a little alien girl. She was tiny, maybe 8 or 9 years old, with glowing blue skin and white hair covered in frost. Her eyes were huge and full of fear. She looked up at him with shaking lips and whispered, "I'm freezing, human. Please save me." Evan knelt down fast. Her body was ice cold. Her hands were turning pale, and her breathing was too slow. The storm screamed around them, throwing snow into Evan's face. He checked his scanner again. The temperature was dropping fast. If she stayed here even 5 more minutes, she would die. Evan pulled off his thermal cloak and wrapped it carefully around her small body. But she suddenly pulled back a little, scared of him. Her voice cracked. If you save me, I'll be yours. Forever." Evan froze, confused. What did she mean? Why would she say that? On her planet, maybe this meant something different, something serious. But he could not think about that now. The storm was getting worse. He gently picked her up. She was so light that he almost felt like he was carrying a feather. Her body trembled as she tried to hold onto his shirt. "Don't worry," Evan said in a calm voice. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm taking you somewhere warm." But she shook her head weakly. "No. My people, they will come. They don't want me saved." Her words shocked him. Why would anyone leave a child to die on purpose? Before he could ask anything, the storm roared louder, covering them in snow. The cold hit his back like knives. He needed to move now. Evan held her tighter and began walking fast through the storm. The girl's breathing got weaker. Her small fingers slowly tightened around his coat, like she was scared of disappearing. The wind pushed against them, almost knocking him down, but he kept going. He could barely see his own hands. His boots sank deep into the snow with every step. Then, through the storm, he finally saw a dim orange light, his temporary shelter. The portable pod stood on a small rock area, half covered in ice. The heater inside was barely strong enough for one human, but he had no choice. He ran the last few steps and opened the heavy door. Warm air rushed out. He carried the girl inside and shut the door quickly. The sudden silence felt shocking. Evan placed her gently on the heated bed. She gasped, feeling the warmth touch her frozen skin. Steam rose from her cloak as the ice melted. Her fingers moved slowly. She opened her eyes again, weak but grateful, and whispered, "You saved me." Evan sat beside her, tired but relieved. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She hesitated, then said in a small voice, "Leary." But before he could ask anything more, Leary whispered one last line that sent a shock through his chest. "Now, I belong to you, forever. Evan stared at her, confused and a little scared. Outside, the storm raged harder. Inside, a new mystery had just begun. The storm continued to roar outside the shelter, shaking the metal walls like a wild animal. Trying to break in, but inside the air was warm and quiet. Evan watched the small alien girl resting on the heated bed. Her breathing was slow but steady now. The blue glow of her skin became a little brighter, showing she was slowly recovering. For a long moment, Evan simply sat there, trying to understand what had just happened. He had come out here to check a strange signal, not expecting to find a half-frozen alien child whispering about belonging to him forever. She was different from anyone he had seen before. Even in her weak state, she looked delicate, almost fragile, like she was made of glass that could break with a wrong touch. Evan spoke softly. "Leary, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. They were big, silver, and filled with an emotion he couldn't read: fear, hope, or maybe both. She tried to sit up, but her arms shook too much. Evan helped her gently, putting a pillow behind her back. She whispered, "Thank you." "Human, my name is Evan," he corrected with a small smile. "You don't have to call me human, and you don't belong to me. You're free." But Leary shook her head slowly, her white hair falling around her face. "No, you saved my life. That means everything. You cannot refuse." Evan blinked in confusion. "What do you mean?" Leary looked down, clutching the cloak he wrapped around her. Her voice broke when she tried to explain. "On my world, when someone saves your life, you give them your bond. It is forever. Your life for theirs, your path for theirs. It is the old rule of my people." Evan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the storm. "A life bond," he whispered. Leary nodded. "You saved me, so now I must stay with you. I must follow you. I must protect you." Evan rubbed his forehead. This was too much. He didn't even understand her culture. He had no idea what this bond really meant. But one thing was clear. She believed it fully. But then something else happened. A loud crash echoed outside the shelter, far away but powerful. Leary's eyes widened. She sat up straight, her body trembling again, but not from cold this time. No, they found me," she whispered. Evan leaned forward. Who found you?" Leary did not answer at first. She stared at the wall, as if she could see through it. Another distant sound came, deep, heavy thuds like giant footsteps on ice. Evan felt his chest tighten. "Leary, tell me what's happening." She finally spoke, her voice full of fear. "My people, my tribe, they are coming for me." Evan frowned. "To rescue you?" She shook her head fast, terrified. "No, they come to finish what they started. They left me in the cold to die." Evan's breath caught. "Why would they do that?" "You're just a child." She took a shaky breath. "I am not like them. My body, my mind, my senses. They say I am wrong. They say I bring danger. They say I am cursed." Her voice broke again, and tears formed in her silver eyes. "I can see things, feel things, before they happen. I saw the storm before anyone else. I told them. They didn't listen. When the storm destroyed our hunting homes, they blamed me." Evan felt anger rising inside him. "They abandoned you because of that? They fear me," she whispered, "and my power." Evan moved closer. "You're not cursed. You're special." Leary looked at him with hope small but shining. Another crash came, louder this time. A deep echo moved across the frozen land. Leary grabbed Evan's arm. "They're close. If they find me with you, they will kill you too." Evan stood up. Immediately, fear didn't matter. Danger didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was the small shaking girl who believed she was a burden to her whole world. "Leary," he said firmly. No one is going to touch you, not while I'm here. She stared at him, her lips trembling. No human has ever protected someone like me. Well, Evan said with a determined voice, then I'll be the first. A faint glow appeared in Leary's eyes, something like trust, something like relief. But suddenly, she gasped. They are 5 minutes away. Evan rushed to the window and stared at the dark snow. He saw shadows moving big, tall shapes with glowing weapons. Leary whispered, Evan, they will kill us both. But Evan only tightened his grip on his coat and said, let them try. The shadows outside grew larger and clearer. Evan could see at least 6 tall figures moving through the snow, their armor glowing faintly under the stormlight. They were hunting, searching. Their heavy footsteps echoed across the frozen land. Like drums of war died inside the shelter, the air grew tense. Leary pulled the cloak tighter around her shoulders, her small hands shaking again, not from cold, but from fear. She looked at Evan with eyes full of worry, almost begging him not to make the mistake of standing against her people. Evan, she whispered, they will not talk, they will not listen. They believe I must die. Please, do not fight them. Evan crouched beside her, his expression calm but firm. I'm not letting them take you, he said. You're just a child. You deserve to live. Leary blinked slowly, as if those simple words touched something deep inside her. No one had spoken to her like that before. No one had defended her. No one had treated her as someone who mattered. She reached out and held his hand, not as a child needing help, but like someone giving him a sacred promise. You saved me, Evan. Not only my life, but my hope. Her voice trembled. And my promise still stands. Evan frowned, still unsure about her meaning. Leary, you don't have to promise me anything. But she shook her head, her silver eyes glowing softly. No, she whispered, I do. When I said, I'll be yours forever, it was not a simple phrase. It is our world's oldest vow, a life bond. Once spoken, it cannot be broken. Evan felt a cold wave run through him, colder than the storm outside. Leary, a bond like that. You don't even know me. I know enough, she said quietly. You carried me through death's door. You warmed me with your own cloak. You shielded me. You spoke to me with kindness. That is more than my own people ever did. Her words hit Evan hard. She looked small, fragile, but her heart was strong enough to make the kind of promise adults feared to make. He tried to speak, but she gently placed her finger over his hand. Evan, I belong to you now. That is not a cage, that is my choice. Before he could argue again, a sudden loud metallic scream came from outside. One of the hunters drove a spear into the ice, marking the ground. They were closer, much closer. Leary's breathing quickened. They are almost at your door. Evan walked toward the entrance and grabbed his blaster. The weapon was small and meant for emergencies, not for fighting trained warriors. But he stood ready anyway. Behind him, Leary slowly stood up. Her legs shook, but she forced herself to stand. Her blue glow brightened slightly, casting a soft light around her. You should hide, Evan said. But Leary shook her head. No, I will not hide behind you. The bond means I stand with you. Always. The way she said it made Evan's chest tighten. She wasn't scared for herself. She was scared for him. Another shadow passed the window. Then another. Leary's voice trembled. They are spreading out. They plan to surround the shelter. They think you are weak. They think you will give me to them. Evan smirked. They're underestimating humans. She looked confused for a moment. No one underestimates humans. They fear you. They tell stories about you. What kind of stories? He asked. She swallowed. That humans are dangerous, wild. They fight with heart, not mind. They never stop once they choose someone to protect. Evan raised an eyebrow. Well, they're not wrong. Leary's lips curved into the smallest smile, her first smile since he found her. But then her eyes snapped open wide. "They are at the door." A sudden heavy bang shook the shelter. Evan grabbed his gun and positioned himself in front of Leary. A deep voice growled from outside, speaking in a rough alien language. Leary translated, her voice barely a whisper. He said, "Give us the cursed child, human, or we will take your life with hers." Evan tightened his grip on the blaster. "What are you going to do?" Leary whispered. Evan didn't answer. Immediately, his heart pounded, his mind raced. But his voice came out steady and firm. "I'm going to do what humans always do," he said. "I'm going to protect what matters." Leary's eyes filled with warmth and fear at the same time. Another bang hit the door. The metal bent inward slightly. Leary whispered the most shocking thing yet. "If you fall, Evan, I fall with you. That is the bond." Evan turned and looked at her, this tiny, fragile girl who believed in him more than her entire tribe ever had, and he made his own quiet promise. "No one is going to fall today." The third bang shook the whole shelter, and the battle was about to begin. The metal door shook again, harder than before. A loud, deep growl traveled through the walls like thunder. Evan stepped in front of Leary, raising his blaster, even though he knew the weapon was too small to stop a whole tribe. But he also knew one thing: he was not giving her up. Outside, the storm made tall shadows dance across the snow. 6 armored hunters stood around the shelter, weapons glowing with cold blue energy. They moved like wolves, circling their prey. Their masks had sharp points, their eyes hidden behind dark glass. These were not simple villagers. These were elite trackers. Leary's breath turned, shaky as she sensed their steps. "They are the Ice Wardens," she whispered. "The strongest of my people." Evan swallowed hard. "They don't look friendly." "They are not," Leary said, her voice trembling. "They follow only the old laws. They kill anyone they consider wrong, and they believe I am wrong." Evan pointed to the door. "What do they want from a child?" Leary lowered her head. "To erase the curse." Evan felt anger burn inside him. "You are not cursed." She looked at him, a weak smile touching her lips. "You say that like it is truth." "It is truth," Evan said firmly. Before she could respond, a heavy metallic fist slammed the door again. This time, a voice loud, commanding, filled with fury shouted in their language. Leary's face turned pale. He said, "Open the door. Give us the cursed one. Do not make us break the human shell." Evan muttered, "Human shell? They mean this shelter?" "Yes," Leary whispered, "and they can break it." The door shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Evan knew. He had seconds to think. He looked around the small shelter, 1 heater pod, 2 small windows, cold metal walls, and a tiny emergency vent. Nothing useful for fighting, but humans don't give up, not even when the odds are impossible. Evan stepped closer to Leary. "Listen. I won't let them take you." Her eyes glistened with tears. "But they will kill you, Evan. They fear humans. But they also believe humans must be destroyed if they block the old laws." Another shadow crossed the window. One of the ice wardens raised his glowing spear, preparing to cut the door open. "We need a plan," Evan said. Leary closed her eyes, placing a hand on the ground. Her breathing slowed, as if she was feeling the vibrations of the earth. Then, she gasped, "They are splitting. 4 at the door. 2 behind the shelter. They will try to break the metal from both sides." Evan stared at her, amazed. "You can sense their positions?" She nodded weakly. "It is my curse, or my gift." Evan put his hand on her shoulder. "It's a gift." Her cheeks flushed, softly at his words. Then she whispered, "Evan, if they capture me, they will end my life in front of you. Not because they hate me, but because they believe it will stop the danger I bring." Evan's jaw tightened. "The only danger here is them." The shelter's small alarm suddenly beeped, a sign that someone was cutting through the outer metal. The ice wardens were breaking in. Leary's voice shook. "They are coming now." Evan stepped back, raising his blaster, ready to fire. "But—" Leary grabbed his arm desperately. "No. You cannot fight them with that small weapon. They will kill you before you reload." "So what do you want me to do? Surrender?" Evan said sharply. Leary shook her head. "No. I want you to live." He looked into her frightened silver eyes. She wasn't scared for herself. She was scared. For him. He placed a hand gently over hers. "I'm not leaving you, Leary. Not for anything." The sound of metal tearing apart filled the room. A long crack appeared across the door, glowing bright blue as the spear sliced through. Leary trembled. He said, "3 breaths more, and the door opens." Evan pulled her behind him. "Stay low. Stay behind me." She clutched his coat, her small fingers shaking. "Humans, you protect even when it means death. That's what we do," Evan said. The crack in the door widened. Snow rushed in. A glowing spear point pierced through. The ice wardens shouted as one, their voices fierce and echoing like a war cry. Evan felt his heart pound. This was it. The fight was coming. But right before the door split open completely, Leary gasped, her eyes turning bright. "Evan, wait." "What?" he asked. Her voice trembled with sudden fear. "There is someone else coming. Something huge. Something not from my tribe." Outside, beyond the hunters, something heavy moved. Across the ice. Evan and the ice wardens both froze. A new danger had arrived. A danger even the hunters feared. For a moment, everything outside the shelter went silent. Too silent. Even the ice wardens, proud, fearless hunters, stopped cutting through the metal door. Their glowing weapons lowered slightly. The storm howled around them, but all 6 warriors stood completely still, turning their heads toward the dark horizon. Evan didn't know what was happening, but Leary did. She pressed her hands to her ears, trembling. "It's coming closer. It's big, and it's angry. What is it?" Evan asked. Before Leary could answer, the ground shook. A heavy thud, then another, and another. Even through the thick metal floor, Evan felt the vibrations like a distant heartbeat. The ice warden stepped back from the shelter. Their leader shouted orders in panic, something Evan had not heard from them before. Warriors of her tribe never panicked. Leary whispered, "The Frost Titan, a giant ice beast. It hunts in storms. My people fear it more than anything." Evan's grip tightened around his blaster. "And it's coming here?" "Yes," Leary whispered, "because of us." The ice wardens quickly formed a defensive circle outside. Their glowing spears pointed outward. They were no longer focused on breaking the shelter. They were preparing to survive. Evan peered through the small window, and then he saw it. A massive shape moving through the snow, not walking, charging. The Frost Titan broke through the fog, like a living mountain of ice and muscle. Its body glowed with cold blue energy, and its 3 eyes burned like frozen fire. Each step cracked the ground. Even the hunters, towing warriors themselves, looked tiny compared to it. Leary clutched Evan's hand. "They cannot defeat it. No one can." The Titan roared, a sound so powerful it shook the sky. The ice wardens raised their weapons and attacked, launching energy spears toward the beast. The spears hit its thick, icy skin and shattered like glass. The Titan swiped, its massive claws. 2 hunters flew across the snow like broken dolls. Another got crushed under its weight. Lir, I sobbed softly. "They will die. They brought this upon us. But still, they are my people." Evan looked at her and saw pain not for herself, but for the tribe that tried to kill her. This little girl had more kindness in her heart than an entire army. He turned away from the window and grabbed his coat. Leary gasped. "Evan, what are you doing?" He loaded his blaster, tightening the straps. I'm going out there. No. She cried, grabbing his arm. You can't. Humans can't fight frost titans. Even my people fail. Evan knelt beside her, resting a hand on her trembling shoulder. Leary, listen. I know I can't kill that thing, but if I do nothing, they'll die. And then it will come for us. I have to try. Tears rolled down her face. You will die. Evan smiled softly. Humans don't run from danger, not when someone needs help. But they tried to kill you, she said desperately. Doesn't matter, Evan replied. They're living beings, they're scared. And they're not monsters, they just don't understand you. Leary stared at him. Why do you protect people who hate you? Evan answered quietly, because someone has to show them a different way. She covered her mouth, overwhelmed. No one from her tribe would ever say something like that. Then she whispered, You are the strange one, Evan. He chuckled. Humans usually are. The door crackled again, this time from outside. The Titan had slammed its claws into the shelter wall. Metal bent inward dangerously. They didn't have time. Evan stood, ready to open the door, but Leary grabbed him one last time. If you go, you don't go alone. No, Evan said gently. You stay here. You're hurt. She shook her head fiercely. I can help. I can sense its movements. I can tell you where it will strike next. Please, let me stand with you. Let me use what they call a curse to protect you. Evan hesitated just for a second. Then he nodded. All right, Leary. We face it together. Her silver eyes glowed brighter than ever before. Evan opened the door, and freezing wind rushed in. The scene outside was chaos hunters falling, ice shattering, the Titan roaring like a beast of legend. As they stepped out, one of the remaining ice wardens turned and shouted in disbelief. A human? This is not your fight. Evan raised his blaster and shouted back, It is now. The Titan roared again, focusing its 3 burning eyes on the tiny human and the fragile child beside him. Leary whispered urgently, Left side. It will attack from the left. Evan rolled away seconds before the Titan's claw smashed the ground where he stood. The battle had begun. A human and a child against a monster made of ice. Every warrior on that field watched in shock, because no human had ever fought beside one of their own, and certainly not for the sake of a child they called cursed. Asterisk snow exploded into the air as the Frost Titan swung its massive claw across the battlefield. The Ice Wardens scrambled to survive, their glowing armor shining weakly against the frozen monster's huge frame. Evan stood in the middle of the chaos, gripping his blaster, his breath coming out in sharp clouds. Beside him, Leary's small hand clutched his coat. She wasn't trembling from fear now, but from something she could feel deep inside the ground. Evan! She shouted, It will strike again. Move. He didn't question her. He trusted her. He dove to the right, just as a giant claw smashed the snow where he had stood moments ago. The shockwave threw ice shards into the air like knives. 2 Ice Wardens stared in disbelief. How does the human dodge so perfectly? One yelled, The child! She warns him. Another growled. But they were too busy fighting to think deeper. The Titan roared again, its 3 glowing eyes focusing on Leary. It sensed something in her, something different, something powerful. Leary grabbed her head in pain. It's trying to confuse us. It can feel thoughts. It knows I can see its moves. She screamed as a wave of pressure hit her mind. Evan grabbed her shoulders. Leary, stay with me. She took a deep breath, shaking off the pain. I can help you, but I need to show you something. The truth. Why they call me cursed. Evan nodded, even as he dodged another shockwave. Show me. Leary touched his arm, and for a single second, Evan felt something incredible. A pulse. A vision. A flash of the Titan's next move before it even happened. He gasped. What was that? My gift, Leary whispered. I can sense danger. Before it happens, I can see what others cannot. But my clan feared it. They feared I would bring disaster. Evan shook his head. That's not a curse, that's power. The Titan lifted its huge head, building a surge of ice energy in its throat. Leary's eyes widened. Evan, jump back now. He pulled her with him as a beam of frozen light shot across the battlefield, freezing two warriors instantly. Their bodies turned to statues of ice. The remaining hunters cried out in horror. The Titan grows stronger. We cannot defeat it. There. Leader shouted, if the human has sense, run. But Evan didn't move. He stood in front of Leary, refusing to run. Leary looked at him with a mix of fear and awe. Why are you doing this? Humans do not fight our battles. Evan's voice was firm. You're not someone else's battle, Leary. You're mine. Her breath caught. No one had ever said anything like that to her. The Titan roared again, charging directly toward them. Its footsteps shook the ground like an earthquake, right side. Leary shouted instinctively. Evan reacted instantly, firing his blaster at the Titan's leg joint, the only soft part on its enormous body. The shot struck true, making the beast stumble. Every hunter froze. They had never seen a human fight like this. They had never seen a child guide a warrior in perfect harmony. The leader of the Ice Wardens stared, confused. How does she know its weak points? Another warrior hissed. She sees with cursed eyes. Leary suddenly turned to them, her voice rising in anger for the first time. It is not a curse. Even the Titan paused for a second, as if surprised by the small girl's shout. Leary stepped forward, glowing faintly, the silver in her eyes burning bright. You threw me away because you feared me, but I never wanted to hurt you. I only wanted to help. I saw the storm that destroyed our homes. I warned you. I begged you. You did not listen. She lifted her chin. And now you see why you should have. The Ice Warden stared at her, not with hatred, but with shock. Leary pointed at the Titan. I can tell you how to stop it, but you must trust me. Silence. Only. The storm answered. Then the leader stepped forward, lowering his weapon. His voice trembled, something rare in their kind. You can really see its attacks? Yes, Leary said. I can see everything before it happens. Evan placed a protective hand on her shoulder. She can save all of you. For the first time, the tribe looked at her like someone important, someone valuable, not a curse, but a hope. The Titan roared again, preparing another devastating attack. The ground cracked beneath it. Leary's voice turned steady, strong, powerful. Evan, aim for its throat. That's where the ice energy builds. Her confidence filled the air. Evan raised his blaster. The hunters tightened their formation. Leary stood between humans and her people, glowing brighter than ever. Together. She said, we fight. And for the first time in her life, her tribe listened to her. The Frost Titan lifted its massive head, ice energy glowing dangerously inside its throat. The frozen wind swirled around its body as if the storm itself obeyed the beast. The ground cracked under its weight. Leary stood between her tribe and Evan, glowing softly like a fragile star trying to shine in a dark sky. Her voice came calm and steady. Evan, it will attack in 3 breaths. He didn't hesitate. He adjusted his blaster, lowering his stance, ready to take the shot that could decide everything. The Ice Wardens who once came to kill her now stood behind her, forming a half circle. Their glowing spears hummed, waiting for her next order. For the first time in her life, Leary wasn't a curse. She was a leader. 1 breath, she whispered. The Titan's chest expanded. 2. Its 3 eyes glowed blue-white. 3 now. The Titan unleashed a blinding stream of frozen light. But Evan was already moving. He rolled to the left, avoiding the beam by inches. The ice energy froze several tall ice pillars behind him instantly. Leary shouted, Aim for the throat. Now, Evan. He fired. The blast shot through the air like a streak of fire, hitting the Titan directly in the soft glowing spot under its jaw. A massive crack spread across its neck. The Titan roared. Stumbling backwards, the Ice Wardens gasped. In shock, Evan had done what none of them could. Leary's voice rose again, stronger than the storm. Now all of you strike the cracks. Aim together. Her tribe followed her command without hesitation. Spears of blue energy sliced through the air, hitting the Titan's wounded neck. Every strike deepened the cracks. The Titan thrashed in pain, smashing the ground and sending snow flying into the sky like white fire. It tried to attack again, but its energy beam flickered and failed. Leary gripped Evan's hand tightly. It's almost over, just one more strike. But the Titan wasn't done. With a final roar, it reared up on its back legs, preparing to crush them all beneath its weight. Evan froze. There was no time to escape. Leary screamed, "Evan!" She threw herself forward, pulling him with all her strength. The Titan's massive body came crashing down, missing them by inches. The shockwave blasted them across the snow. Evan shielded Leary with his body as ice shards and dust burst into the air. When the smoke cleared, the Titan lay on its side, weakened, shaking, barely able to rise. It was still alive, but it was vulnerable. The Ice Warden leader stepped forward, raising his spear for the final blow. But Leary shouted, "Wait!" The warrior froze. Leary walked slowly toward the fallen beast. Evan followed close behind, ready to protect her. Her blue glow softened. Her steps were gentle. "This beast was hungry," she said quietly. "It acted because of fear and cold, not because it is evil. The entire tribe watched her, just like you feared me." The Ice Warden leader lowered his spear slightly. Leary touched the Titan's cold skin. For a moment, its glowing eyes met hers, not with hatred, but with tired surrender. Then its glow faded. It slowly closed its eyes and fell still, the ice around it settling into silence. The Titan was gone, not as a monster killed in rage, but as a creature that had been understood in its final breath. Snow began to fall softly. The storm was ending. Ice Warden slowly approached Leary and Evan. Their leader knelt down, something unheard of among their proud tribe. He placed his spear before her feet. "Little one," he said in a deep voice, "we called you cursed. We feared your sight. We left you to die. Today, you saved us." Leary's lips trembled. "But you tried to kill me, because we did not understand you," he replied. "But this human did." All the warriors turned to Evan, a human, a stranger, the one who fought for a child not his own. The leader bowed his head. "Human warrior, we honor your courage. You protected what we threw away." Evan shook his head. "I didn't do this alone." He looked at Leary. "She was the one who saved all of us. I only followed her lead." The tribe murmured among themselves, shocked by his humility. Leary stepped closer to Evan. She took his hand gently, her silver eyes soft and warm. "I told you," she whispered. "I belong to you forever." But Evan knelt down so their eyes were level. "No, Leary," he said softly. "You're free. You don't belong to anyone." Her breath caught. "But the Lifebond." Evan smiled and wiped a tear from her cheek. "A bond is not about ownership. It's about choice. If you stay with me, stay because you want to, not because an old rule forces you." Leary stared at him, the strange human who had changed her life, changed her tribe, and changed everything she had ever believed. Then she wrapped her small arms around him. "I choose you, Evan," she whispered. "Not because I must, but because I want to." The Ice Wardens watched, humbled. That night, something new was written in the silent snow. A human protected the weak. A child changed her people. And the galaxy learned what humanity truly was. Not monsters, not legends, but protectors. A true HFY moment.